will be familiar with him. He is a member of my church, the Christ League, and he's very active in the Lions Club. He has in your program his banner is right on East High Street, right up from the church, which is a beautiful picture of him. He was in the Air Force, as it says, from 1965 through 69, where he was a crew chief working on two engine fighters. He served at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland and was assigned to Dayton, New Jersey. Upon leaving the service, he worked in the electrical generation field, at which time he retired to care for his wife, who was battling cancer. Greg does a lot of service for this community, not only the Lions Club, the Optimist Home Association, Mountaineer Township Zoning Board. He's very active in the Christ Lutheran Church, and he's just all around a terrific man. Greg, I'd like to introduce you to our audience.
I'll send you my check from Sanders Foundation. Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for allowing me to be here this evening. It's an honor to be here with you and to talk about the military banner program. Before I start going through the slide program, I'd like you to take a look at that banner that's on the cover here. That's Robert Green. As you can see, he's a Medal of Honor recipient. Up here on the table is a shadow box with some of his things in it. Today, Robert Green's banner and Mr. Port's banner were hung over at Orton Park. So when you drive by over there, you'll see a pole that the borough installed, and you'll see both those banners. Our goal was to get those banners up before the Memorial Day parade, and we were able to do that. So that was really important, not only to me, but all the people who are working on this project, and I'll get into some of those folks who are working on this project. So I want to do a little overview of the program, the process from birth to the idea to today, applications process, including costs, support for the project, and then at the end we'll have some questions. So, program overview. Let's talk about how it started. You have to go back to before COVID. I happen to have the honor of being the Lions president the year of COVID, and we were starting to look at the banner program, and then when COVID hit, it died, like everything else.
Yeah.
Okay, and you couldn't do this and you couldn't do that. So the next time I came through as the president of the Lions Club, it was a high priority of mine to work on the military banner program. And it is where it is today because of a lot of people who were able to help. So, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. The program serves to recognize men and women who have served or are currently serving any branch of the military. I'll show you a slide here later on, and a great picture, an absolutely great picture. Okay. But if you served in any of the branches, you can request a banner. You request a banner, and we'll make every effort to get that banner installed. Honorees do not need to be an E-Town resident or have lived here. We struggled with that. We talked to a lot of different communities on how they did their banners, and the one thing that we wanted to make sure is that we honored anyone that served. There's a lot of people in this community that did not grow up here; they weren't born here, and that helped us to figure out what words we were going to put on the banner. So if you served, you didn't have to live here or be born here. The Lions Club created a separate subcommittee of members dedicated to the project. You're going to see Lions Club through here, but I want you to understand something. It's a community project. It is not a Lions Club project, okay? The Lions Club started it, we spearheaded it a little bit, but without the Rotary Club and Mr. Boutte, who's sitting right over here, you wouldn't see any banners on poles. Without the borough, without Mountjoy Township, without West Colony Township, you wouldn't see any banners. We send all the paperwork into PPNL. They have the paperwork. Without them being on board, you wouldn't see any banners. So it's a huge community involvement. We held a meeting at Christ Lutheran Church, and I was thrilled that Glenn was there because I had gotten a phone call prior to that meeting because I wasn't sure how we were going to get the banners home. You know, I can create a lot of dust. I can stir up a lot of dust. And then sometimes I got to figure out how I'm going to control it. And sometimes you do things on the fly. And you have to make decisions on the fly. But I received a phone call the night before that meeting, and the person on the phone call said, I have somebody that wants to hang those banners. Can we help? Oh yeah, you can help. Oh yeah. And so Glenn was at that meeting, and I made sure that he met with the right people that I had put on a committee called the Installation Committee. Initially I called them the Hanging Committee, but that didn't seem right. Okay, so we now call it the Installation Committee. And Glenn's been working with them ever since. I will tell you the way it works is that Glenn and his workers go out. There's a couple of ladders and a bunch of material, and there's at least one line in there to help document everything, and those banners get hung. As I said today, they finished hanging the 7th set. That's 212? 210 plus these two, so there's 212 banners hanging now. We already have applications for 300 banners. And I can tell you that we're probably going to have another set of 30, and I'll talk about that later. That night at that meeting at Christ Lutheran Church, we asked people, if you want to help, please go over to the Installation Committee or go over to the Pole Identification Committee. So we formed a committee that goes out and looks at utility poles. And when they go out and look at the poles, they'll paint a little dot at the bottom of the pole. Don't look for themselves, okay? Because sometimes the utility puts something up there and that means something totally different. So the dots are on the poles, and when the installation committee goes out, they know exactly which poles are available to them. Not every pole can accept a banner, okay? And I'll talk about that a little later on here. Each banner is 30 inches wide, 60 inches tall. They're pretty good sized banners. Right? The veterans information will be on both sides. We spent a lot of time talking about that. People wanted to say, well, my dad served in World War II, and I served in Vietnam. I'd like to be on one side, and my dad on the other side. We voted not to do that. We wanted to have the individual on both sides, so that if you're driving down the street, depending on which way you're driving, you can see him, okay? I talked about them being on utility poles. I talked about working with the borough, Mountjoy Township, and West Iowa Township. Those three entities have been tremendous. Very, very helpful. Every time I need a new street, and I'll hear from the installation committee, we're running out of poles. I'll send a note to the borough, and I'll say we need, I'll give you a great example, okay? We need Groff Avenue. I want Groff Avenue out to campus, and then I called Mountjoy Township. I want Ridge Road out to Schaefer. The other street we wanted was, we'd already gotten Spruce from Market to College, so then we wanted to go from Market to High, then we wanted to go from High Street on out. And they're very good about that. It takes them a little bit of time to get it through the paperwork, but they've been very good. We will not run out of poles, okay? We will not. Initially, when we first started this, we had High Street, East and West High Street. We took West High Street out to the overpass, and we took East High Street out to the Church of the Brethren there. It's Church of the Brethren. By the fairgrounds, just past the fairgrounds. Okay. On High Street, or on Market Street, we now go all the way out to the Conewater Creek, and we go all the way out to Burger King. And believe it or not, we've had requests, and let me talk about requests. So Dale, every morning, Dale goes to Wendy's and he drinks coffee. And he sits in there, looks out the window, and the pole doesn't have anything on it. But Dale has a banner, and he wanted his banner on that pole. And Glenn said we should do that. And so there's going to be at least 2 banners out of Wendy's where the guys sit in there and drink coffee. We've had requests from folks, and I'll give you one that we couldn't honor. I got a phone call about 3 days ago. A lady lives on College Avenue. Her son called. She would like a banner on a pole right in front of her house. There's nothing on it. All the other poles have banners on them. Can I get a banner on that pole? So let me go look at the pole. And the answer was no, you couldn't. Because on that pole, they had conduit, the utility had conduit stapled to the pole. We won't put a banner on that pole. And so we had to deny that request. But there's been a lot of different requests. It makes it difficult, but not impossible, for the installation team to make sure they get the banners where they need to be. But we've done a good job of maintaining paperwork. So every time Glenn and his installation team goes out to hang these banners, there's somebody with him who has a list of what banner goes where. So if there's a special banner that needs to be in a special location, and we've honored that because we could, that pole will get that banner, okay? We don't promise that we can hang it there, but we promise that we'll do our best to try, okay? Randomly placed, not selected locations, 10 feet over sidewalks, not over the edge of roadways. Excuse me. So when I worked with the borough, I looked at what was going on in different areas. And one of the things we wanted to make sure is that we weren't too high up on the pole, because somebody has to go up there and hang it, okay? The rules for the borough are the bottom of the banner has to be 10 feet off the sidewalk. If it's over the roadway, the bottom of the banner has to be 13 feet off the roadway. And that's because of truck traffic, okay? So we decided that we're going to go over the sidewalks. Produced by Street Decor. I want to talk a little bit about this company here. Who is Street Decor? When we did our research, we went to various communities in this area. And then as we traveled around the state or the country, fellow Lions would take a look at banners and take pictures of them. We'd look at them. The folks in Mount Joy use Street Decor. And that's what directed me to Street Decor. And I love these guys. It's a mom and pop organization. They make the banners in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The gentleman that owns the company is in Reno, Nevada. When we call and talk to them, they're very, very, very accommodating, okay? And I'll talk about that in a minute. 100% of everything is done in-house and it's done locally. So it's all US made, okay? Which is important. The owner and his wife have worked there in the company for 19 years, and now their kids work there. Okay. In 2022, they had shipped over 39,000 banners, and that number just keeps getting higher and higher. And this community's increasing that number as we go here. Many family members have or are serving in the military. So we had a situation in October of last year. I got a phone call from a Mrs. Over, and she said, my daughter's coming home on leave at Christmas. I'd like to have her banner hung. But we didn't have any of her paperwork, we didn't have a photo, we didn't have anything. And I said, oh boy. So I said, well, ma'am, I'm going to send you an application. I want you to fill out the application. I want you to get me a photo. And then I called the street decor. And I said to the street decor people, I said, I got a little bit of a problem. I need a banner in E-Town the week between Christmas and New Year's. And Rich said, I think we can do that. So the process is this. You send me an application. Oh, my role in this whole mess is paperwork. Okay? I keep track of paperwork. So you send me the application, you send me a photo, and typically you send me a check.
Yeah.
I fill out a spreadsheet with 30 names, and then I send that spreadsheet and all those photos to street decor. Within 2 days, they send me back a proof. I send that proof out to all the people who requested a variance. And this is where it gets a little difficult, because they have to tell me my banner's good, or you misspelled the name, or I'd like to change this, or I got a different photo, whatever that is. Excuse me. And then once I get that feedback from everybody, and sometimes that takes a month, okay? I get that feedback, then I send it to Rich, and he creates another proof. I look at the proof, I look at the changes, and then they go to production. When they start production, it's about 3 weeks till the banners get here. The banners show up at my house, Glenn comes over with his army of guys, and they take everything out of my garage, and we go off to work, okay? So I wasn't sure how I was going to get these banners back here in time. So I sent an email out to everybody that was on that list. And I requested them, I told them the story, I told them why we needed their feedback right away. And everybody was very accommodating. I had the feedback almost immediately. The banners went into production and they got here the week before Christmas. And then what we do is when we get those banners, we tell everybody that your banners are here and we're going to have a display night. And we go over to St. Paul's Methodist Church and we lay out all the banners. And people come and they bring family members and they look at their banners and they take photos and they meet people they haven't seen in years, and it is a huge social thing. Captain Omer didn't know that her parents had gotten her a banner. So they're sitting at the dining room table, and Mom keeps saying, "Would you hurry up and eat? We got a meeting we want to." Mom, it's Christmas. What are we doing? No, you got to come with me. So then they pull up at St. Paul's Methodist Church, and she looks at her mom and like, "Are we going to church? What are we doing?" And the whole family came in, and we've got pictures of them, and we're hoping to get a write-up. She was astounded. Her banner hangs over on College Avenue. If you come off of campus and you make the right onto College, that's the first banner you see. Okay. Her mom drives by it every day. So it's a great story. But it's what this team of people do. It's the Rotary Club, the Lions Club, and the members of this community that make it worthwhile and make it happen. I think I talked mostly about this municipalities there. This second last bullet, create a program process, how to make it happen. Deb Duker is the one that made the phone call, and it was Glenn Boutte and his importance and his fellow workers. They either take time during the day or on weekends. They hung one Sunday night, they hung like 10 banners. They hung 7 today, I think, plus these, okay? It's just amazing. It's amazing, and the men that hang those banners, every time I drive up and chat them up, big smile on their face, and it's just wonderful. It's just absolutely wonderful to see a community come together. It doesn't matter what organization you're in, it's about serving. It's good stuff. It's real good stuff. So how did we get those pictures to look like that, those banners to look like that? I was young and dumb then when that picture was taken. Okay? That picture was taken at Andrews Air Force Base. I was a crew chief on a single-engine jet fighter there. But you'll notice that it's a little different. Our banners are a little different than some of the ones you see on the left. We went out and measured banners in Bay Ridge, Marietta, and Mount Jerome. We measured the pictures. We measured the font sizes. We looked at what they had on the banners. We did not want to say hometown heroes. We didn't want to say that because a lot of people aren't from E-Town, okay? We didn't want to have Elizabethtown on it. No offense to Elizabethtown, but my father-in-law, who has a banner, came from Johnstown, okay? So we didn't want that. We wanted the picture to be as big as possible. Listen to me a second, okay? Please pay attention when you're driving to where you're going. I've had so many people come up to me and say, I'm about to have an accident because oh, I remember him, I remember her. Take a walk. But we wanted you to be able to see the picture, and we wanted you to be able to read the name. We were not that, it wasn't that important to us about the branch of the years, okay? But the photo and the name was important to us. We chose the blue background because it doesn't fade like the red does. When we looked at a lot of these banners that have been hanging for a while, the red starts to fade. So we went with the blue. We only put a little bit of the American flag at the top. Some of these banners have a lot of flags on them and stars on them. Our focus was the photo and the name. Okay? And you can see the various ones there on the side as to what people did. There's one in the middle there that has a star on it. So far, every banner that we have has a photo. But not everybody has a photo. Most people would like a photo of their loved one when they were in their military attire. But we have a couple where people couldn't find a good photo, and we tell them any photo will do. I've got one photo of a guy in a parachute jumping out of an airplane. You'll never know who that guy is. You see the parachute, you see this little stick at the bottom. But that's the photo he wanted. Okay? But you can read his name, okay? But that's the only photo we had. He wanted to be in his military attire. Let's see. Process. Complete the application form. The application form will have all the information on it that you need. It has some phone numbers on there. It has email addresses on there. That email address is eTownLionsClub@gmail. Or you can mail it right to the, you can email it or you can mail it right to the post office. That's our post office box. The photo. I'm becoming a master at cropping photos. I didn't know I could do that, but I can now. I'll get a photo of an individual, and in the background, Lord only knows what's in the background. And so we'll crop that down so we can focus on the individual and not what's in the background of the photo, okay? It makes it easy if they come as a JPEG. You can either email it or there, or you can, I've had people come to my house. Mr. Hicks, I don't have a scanner. I don't know how to, what scan, what's that? I said, come on over and I'll take care of that. So it's worked out real well. It's worked out real well. the form, the photo, etc. was reviewed prior to approval. So here's how this goes, right? So I fill out that spreadsheet, and I got 30 names in there, and I got 30 photos. I take that packet of names, and I took that file, and I put it on a thumb drive. And I put the photos on the thumb drive, and I take them to Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams makes sure that I didn't do anything dumb. And he'll go through it, and then he comes back and he says, Greg, what is this? I don't understand. We've had several of those, okay? I think we had one where there was a junior and a senior. We couldn't figure out which guy was which until we looked at the photos. We figured it out then. But Dale will double check my work. We'll make any corrections before we send them to a street decor. So it gets checked over and over and over. We had an incident, I'll never forget, I about had a heart attack. We had an incident at the showing where the individual hated the photo. And they said that that wasn't the photo they sent us, because that same photo is on a banner in Mount Joy. And the lion I was helping him said, well, I know how to fix this. And he come and got me, right? So I had my computer and I showed him, I said, well, here's the photo, and here's the application, and here's the email that you said the photo was okay. And the husband was okay, the wife, not so much. So I said, look, how about this? You go home and look at that photo. If that photo is not the same as this photo, you send me a new photo and we'll get you a new banner, no cost to you. So he goes home. About 15 minutes later, my phone rings, and he says, Mr. Guest, that photo has the same marks on it that's on that banner. So that's my fault, not your fault. But in the background, I could hear his wife scream, right? He said, you go ahead and hang that banner. So we did. We hung the banner. The day after that banner was hung, I got a phone call from that same individual, and he said, that banner looks great. Because you couldn't see those things from up when it was hung up on the pole. It's the only real, well, we had one other incident. We had a showing where we thought one group was coming, and two groups showed up. That's 60 banners, okay? Now, the good news is I had the other 30 banners in my garage. The bad news is they were in my garage. and we rushed the banners over there, and we got them all displayed. And the feedback that I got on that was tremendous. I mean, people, oh my gosh, I saw Uncle Billy. Oh my gosh, I saw this person I hadn't seen. And it went on and on and on. And you couldn't hardly get them out of the church. So it worked out okay. But, well, that was, Glenn laughed at me the whole night. I never sweat that much in my life. But it's been good. Each request is for, I think I've gone through this, how we get it to street decor, how they get it back to us. It works out pretty good. Again, I cannot, if anybody asks you who's making our banners, you tell them street decor. And I highly recommend that you can give them my name, and I'll talk to them. Those people do great work. And they bend over backwards to help you, that's for sure. One other thing. Glenn goes out and hangs the banners, and they have this spreadsheet. So banner such and such is on this pole with a pole number and the closest house address. So I get that spreadsheet back from the installation team, and then I forward those documents to the borough in Mount Joy Township, West Arlington Township, wherever those banners are hanging. That's one of the things that we have to do as far as documenting where these banners are. But I take that spreadsheet and I email it to all the people who have their banners on, so that they know exactly what pole that banner's on and where it's physically located. So they don't have to, right now, because we just finished hanging the 7th set, the 8th set Glenn has, and the 9th set sitting in my garage, okay? And I'm getting emails every day. Is my banner dead? What pole? What, is it near what? Is it near where I said it was? And I'm like, let me see now. 280 banners and she's, what's her name again? And so I have to go, I do some searching, and then I tell them, well, we're still working on those, okay? It takes time, and we were doing this in the wintertime. And you can't hang these banners wearing gloves. It's all bare hands. So, a lot of kudos to these guys. This is what the proof looks like, right here. And I chose this one for 2 reasons. Here's your Civil War fellow right here.
Oh, yeah.
And here's that knucklehead hanging off of a parachute. But that's what they look like. That's what the proof looks like. And that's what I send out to everybody, okay? We've had some great ideas that what we're going to do here in the future. This program has allowed us to think about doing other things. So as time goes on, we're going to send all these proofs to the Historical Society, okay? We'll send them here, we'll send them to Winters, we're going to send them to the borough, the townships. So each of the organizations, and the library. So each of the organizations have all the proofs along with who's on the banner. The other thing we're going to do is, because we have the names and addresses of all the people who requested a banner, and we're going to send a questionnaire to them. And we're going to ask them, why did you have that banner? What's special about that individual? Can you give me some background information? And we're going to compile that information, and we're going to put it together, and we're going to send that out to everybody, okay? So here's a couple of cool stories. I got a banner from an individual. The photos weren't all that great, but we were able to make it work. The individual on the banner was married when he was in the Army. His best man was George Pack.
Wow.
General Pack. All right, that's one story. There's another story about an individual who was in a B-17 over Germany, and they were shot down. And only 2 of the guys got out of the airplane. He was one, and another guy got out. The other guy landed in the town center. He landed next to a church. The guy in the town center was immediately killed by the civilians. The priest at the church protected him. And he's alive. Well, I think he's still alive today. Okay? So these are stories that I think would be good to capture. If you want to read an excellent set of books, you look up Things My Father Saw. It's a series of books about World War II. It's put together by a history teacher in Great Falls, New York. And they went out along with the students and interviewed veterans. It is an absolutely wonderful set of books, and I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. So that's what the proofs look like. And you can see there's all different kinds of photos in there. Let's see. No, it's not. All those are military photos. Let me talk a little bit about College Avenue. So we requested College Avenue, right? Because we wanted to go out all the way out to campus. And the borough said, yep, okay, you can have College Avenue. And the next thing I got was an email saying I got to have a meeting with the college. I'm thinking, oh boy. And I wasn't sure what I was going to say or what I was going to do. So I have a habit of when I got something coming up, I run it over my head, and I have these scenarios. None of them are good. Okay? And I have all these scenarios that are going through my head. And then I decided, well, you're just going to have to play it as it comes. And it ended up being a great meeting with the college and the borough. And if you go out College Avenue, you'll notice from Market Street to Mount Joy Street, there are banners on both sides of the street, military banners. From Mount Joy Street to campus, there are only military banners on the north side. That was a negotiated thing, which wasn't hard because there weren't any poles on the south side there. The other thing was, please don't hang a banner in front of the president's house. No problem, I'll write that down. And then I said to them, how about if we don't hang a banner at the alumni house? No problem, that's good. So we wrote that down. Well, there weren't any poles in front of the president's house. And the pole by the alumni house wouldn't accept the banner anyhow. We knocked on doors as we were identifying poles and said, sir, I'm from the Lions Club, we're going to put banners on these poles out here. Are you okay with it? Oh, yeah, please do, please, I can't wait. Okay? Of all those houses that we went to, only one requested that we don't hang a banner in front of the house. And we did. Okay, that's fine. The other thing is, we would not hang a banner where an individual was holding a firearm. Okay, that was a request from the college. That's perfectly fine. We don't have many banners when somebody's holding a firearm, but that makes sense to me, and so it worked out well. So as you go through these little trials and tribulations, it's easy to negotiate if you keep an open mind. If you keep an open mind, okay? That's sort of what the banner looks, or the request looks like. The banners cost $250. Now that includes the banner, which is $124. Excuse me. The adjustable bracket set and the poles for that, $115. We chose to use $11 for shipping and handling. It's more than that, but I needed to have that figure round up to a decent number. $250 was a decent number. Okay. So some of those costs are being absorbed. And some people are sending donations. We've had several people send donations. Well, speaking of donations, I don't know if you know where Grouped Up is. Okay. Well, that's not Grouped Up. Yeah, right? Yeah. The microgroup, right?
Yeah.
The military banner program is the charity of choice right now for May, June, July, and I believe August. So if you go out there and have an adult beverage, $1 goes to this program.
Oh, wow.
Okay? I think it's July the 27th. I think that's a Saturday. Everything that they collect that day will go to this program. So. 30 poles. We do these in groups of 30. That's because the vendor asked us to do them in groups of 30, but he will do lesser amounts. Okay? But we chose 30, it just makes it easier all the way around. I talked about the installation committee, the records, maintaining the records, and that's really all I have. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
What size must the pictures be?
The picture that I've scanned, it doesn't matter, okay? Because once they're scanned, I can either reduce them. Sometimes I get pictures when it's on my screen, my whole screen's full. And I just have to shrink it down. So it doesn't matter, okay? Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering if the banners are going to be maintained in any way, because I went to a community where they were kind of hanging like this.
Say it.
Will the banners be maintained in any way?
It's a great question, and the answer is yes. That's one of the obligations that we have as a Lions Club, okay? But I'm going to explain to you why it's important to have people trained who are hanging banners. This crew is trained, they know what they're doing. But if you put a bracket on upside down, that banner will have a fold in it. and we had to go back and replace it, not replace it, turn it around. The reason that we know where every banner is so that we can watch and see if there's a problem. So here's the problem. I don't know what it's called now, but it used to be the movie E-Town, right? I got a call from the borough, a pole snapped off, and you have a banner on it. I called him. I said, we got a problem. So I ran out there, and sure enough, the pole had snapped off at the ground level, and there was a PP&L truck there. So I jumped up on the truck and I said to the guy, I said, you going to tie that off? He said, I'd like to tie it off, but the people inside that building told us we can't. I said, well, that's kind of odd. So I went in the building to talk to them, and they said their insurance company told them not to tie it off. Glenn came out with his crew and took that banner down. We immediately called the individual who had the banner there, and she asked if there was another pole in that area. There isn't. We had just opened up Spruce Street. I said, can I put it on Spruce Street? She said, sure. And her banner is now on Spruce Street, one of the first ones on Spruce. So yes, we must look at them. Here's a question you may ask, but you didn't ask yet. How long do they last? Okay. The banners that you see down in Mount Joy, Marietta, Bainbridge, are usually good for 3 to 5 years. Then they start to fade. Okay. These banners, because of the material that we chose a heavier canvas, okay, and the colors that we chose, these should last somewhere between 5 and 7 years, all right? Once if a banner is loose or torn or comes down, we have to go get that banner, okay, and get it down there. I had a lady call 2 weeks ago. Great. I have a new picture for my banner. I said, your banner's hung. I know. She said, can I just buy a new banner? Sure. Can I have my new banner put where my old banner is? Sure. And then I'll give you your old banner. Okay. I don't know what she's going to do with it, but I'll give it to her. So yeah, those kinds of things happen. That's called trying to accommodate people. Trying to make sure everyone is happy. Other questions? Yes?
I saw in Mount Joy, there was a house on their main street that had the honor banner in their yard displayed. Does anybody ask that it not be on a pole, that they want it in their yard or something like that?
That's pretty good. That's a good question. Oh, the answer is no. That's a good question. Well, let me go on with that, okay? So, Groff Meats, right? In town. We have 2 banners for them, but they're going to go on a pole that's there on their property. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, it's a utility pole, and we're kind of stretched. Well, it's off of Market Street. It's on that side of Market. We're okay, all right? Country Meadows. Sally has a banner, I think it's with her dad, I think. And that banner is going to go on a pole that's on her property. She owns that pole. Okay? One of the things this is down the road now. This is after we get a chance to breathe a little bit. Street decor does what are known as garden flags. Wow. Okay? And so we might have something out there like that. You can order a garden flag. Now that's easy because it's just a flag. It doesn't require 2.5 men to get up there on the ladder, okay? You can display it in your own garden on your own property. But that's not something we've done yet. Okay, but it's a possibility. Okay. You better reel me in, buddy. Yes, ma'am.
If after the 5 or 7 years that the banner is
Yeah, so yes, the answer is yes. The question was, what happens 7 years or whatever time period that that banner has to come down? We would contact you. You could order a new banner. We would give you the old banner, and we would hang a new banner on the pole with, you wouldn't need the brackets or anything. And all we'd be looking at is the cost of the banner. Right, right. Yes, sir, hold on one second.
Can you tell me where the banner is for the Civil War veteran?
I can tell you that it's not hung yet. I can tell you where we were. I don't think it's hung yet. We were going to put it out near Veterans Shrine, but, and we may still put it out there. That's kind of what we're looking at right now.
There's like 6 places so far that we can't hang without a bucket truck. So we want to try and do all them one day. The borough will help us with the truck. But we haven't hung any of the ones that we can't get to. And that's probably one of them.
It is one of them. That guy's name, by the way, is Old Wire. O-L-D Wire. But we have, I think, 2 other Old Wire banners. And that's the same family. Somewhere along the line it got changed, okay? So we're trying to keep that group together, and that's what Glenn's talking about. And so that brings up another comment. So you put in 3 applications for 3 banners, okay? Maybe I saw. So what we do is we staple those 3 applications together, and we hang those banners as close together as possible. That way, if you put them in, there's a reason you put them in. So we want to try and keep those banners together when we do that. So are we still collecting applications?
Do you have applications with you here?
No, ma'am, you must accept my humble apology. I did not, I was gonna throw that in my bag and it got away from me. Okay.
So
Well,
how would we,
you talk to Dixie, Dixie knows where I live,
okay.
okay? And she sits behind me at church every Sunday. We are still collecting applications and photos, but we are not collecting checks. Here's the reason why. That tent set is full, and I have probably a quarter to half of the 11 set full. But I will tell you that from probably November through March or April, every day I went to the post office, there were 4 or 5 letters in the post box with checks, okay? Or there would be emails, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 emails with photos and applications, okay? The check is in the mail, right? That's not happening now. I guess in the last 2 weeks I've gotten maybe 2 applications, which is a good thing. Okay, because it has slowed down for us, and it gives Glenn a chance to catch up, okay? I don't want to be sitting on a check that we cashed, and you're wondering, where's your banner? I'm getting messages from people who did send a check. Can you imagine what it'd be like if I had their check and cashed it? Right. So we're just going to wait, but we're accumulating those, and I'm keeping track of that. Okay. Other questions? Again, I can't thank this community enough. I can't thank Glenn and the Rotary Club. Without the Rotary Club, we'd be in deep, deep trouble. Without the work with the borough and all the townships, it's just a wonderful thing to see. And so I appreciate your time. Hold on one second.
So can I make a prediction?
You are right.
So when this all started, you said, oh, we'll probably get about 100 banners.
to where we'll be easily between 300 or 400 easily by the time we really slow down. I think we'll run out of poles, and then we'll be starting to sell poles. People, you have to pay for a pole you put in your yard and put a landline back in your house. That's my prediction.
Oh, boy.
Hey, there's an idea.
There's an idea.
I bet the Rotary Club could handle that, could they, Glenn? Greg, thank you.
Oh, yes.
Now, this is wonderful. There's nothing that touches my heart more personally than honoring our U.S. military. And you guys deserve all the credit. You know, if we can help as a society in any way, please let us know. Greg, we'd like to offer you our thanks for your presentation and your time and all your hard work on behalf of the Historical Society. Please come back. We have membership applications.
I think I heard that once before.
All right, folks, let's take a short break here. Help yourself with refreshments. Look at our new displays and talk to Greg Hitz. Thank you. Tonight with Greg Hitz, who is just an incredible man and the real propellant behind our community having the military banners in E-Town. Took you a long time, but we got there and it was beautiful, Greg. Just a few pointers. What did you ask me to say? Somebody asked me to say something, but my mind's going blank. We have 2 new acquisitions I want to point out, which I'm really pleased to. Had 2 donations came in of drawings of our railroad station by Pat Dryden and Aberdeen Mill. So that's, as everyone knows, is Pat's near and dear to my heart. So I'm really pleased to have them. We have beautiful table of refreshments. I thank Wilma Spickler and Sue Binkle and Bonnie Madeira and Laura O'Reilly-Price, who's not here yet, for making all these wonderful treats so you can eat hearty and enjoy yourself. Without any more ado, can we stand please and say the pledge of allegiance?